Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Back on the topic of the NFL. Today we are talking LA Chargers, and Jay and I today are going to be giving our list of the top 5 best players on the Chargers roster going into 2021. Did a similar video on the Bucs yesterday, so today we're doing Chargers. Who do we think is the 5 best players on this roster? Before we get into this video, question today. Do you guys think the Chargers will be making the playoffs this year? Obviously, they've got a lot of talent, a lot of hope in young quarterback Justin Herbert. So I think it's very fair to make the argument that they will, but they are in a division with one of the, or arguably the best team in the league with the Chiefs. So the Chargers won't have it easy. Will they make the playoffs? Comment below, and at the end of the video, you'll hear Jay and I's opinion. But as far as our list, we're likely going to have different lists. But Jay, let's start with some guys that didn't make your list, but honorable mentions per se.
A couple honorable mentions on my list is going to start off with Mike Williams, pretty much the number 2 receiver on this Chargers team. They picked up the 5th-year option on because they believe in him to pan out, and possibly Brandon Staley to develop him, but they have not seen enough yet, and I have not seen enough yet to consider him one of the 5 best players on this team, but I do think he's on the brink of getting there. Another one, Michael Davis, re-signed corner for the Los Angeles Chargers. A lot of people like him as a number 2 guy, but with Brandon Staley being a defensive mastermind, who's to say he can't shape him up into a number 1 corner? Not saying he will, but Brandon Staley is a mastermind. Like I said, and Michael Davis is definitely emerging. And one more, Kenneth Murray, a top linebacker that the Chargers traded back into the first round for last year. He didn't pan out to be, this absolute stud that's just going to control the defense, but it was just his rookie year. I'm curious to see how he will perform without Denzel Perryman, but I'm also very curious to see how he will perform, like I said, with the mastermind of Brandon Staley. I think he will fit just in place with Staley and definitely be worth the trade back up into the first round last year.
Yeah. For me, the one guy that didn't make my list that I think is worth talking about is Mike Williams, the number 2 to Keenan Allen. Mike Williams, I don't think gets enough credit. He goes up and gets the ball very, very well. He's got great hands, but I mean, his stats, his numbers are not fantastic. He does get overshadowed with overall productivity by Keenan Allen, but I think the way he goes up and gets the football is pretty effective, and I like Mike Williams a lot, but no, he did not make my list.
Fair enough. And one more, Austin Eckler, pretty solid running back out of the backfield, but running the ball itself, just not good enough to put him top 5. We're going into the rankings. Number 5, I'm going with the new addition of Corey Linsley. And honestly, you could make the argument he's higher on this list. Pure talent-wise, the Chargers made him the highest-paid center in the league. That kind of says enough in itself of how good he is. But just being in a new system, not seeing how he will control that offense line and seeing how he will captain them, I think number 5 fits him perfectly. His talent and raw skills enough to get him on the list, but not seeing how he performs yet is not going to get him any higher for me.
Yeah, number 5, Corey Linsley as well for me. I do think, I guess you consider the center the leader of the O-line. Number 5 talent-wise, which is what this list is based off of, but as far as importance to the team, I think he might jump up even higher because this team needed O-line help badly, and I think he'll serve that very well. He was obviously successful with the Packers, and I think that him coming here will really change the offensive line of the Chargers, which is obviously their biggest weakness, or was their biggest weakness last year.
Yeah, and Corey Linsley is a guy with the way he could captain and the way he could push the pile could be a reason we see a guy like Austin Eckler slip into the pile, or if not him, maybe a new rookie running back or another guy on the depth chart and a Joshua Kelly, an offensive line that could create holes for the running backs, and this could open up the list for other players. But moving into number 4, I'm going with Darwin James. It's a similar situation, pure skill, pure raw talent, definitely deserves to be on this list, but some outside factors such as injuries and playing limited time, Darwin James is held back a little bit. Rookie season, he performed amazing. He earned the nickname of Kelsey Stopper, but only playing, I believe, 21 games over 3 seasons, and he's only had 16 since his 16 full starts in his rookie year. It's not a good sign, but being in a healthy new system and being with the defensive-minded coach, I do think he's going to pop back into being a top safety right away, and I seriously think he could fight for the number 1 spot safety in the NFL.
Yep, number 4 for me, Darwin James as well. Very talented safety. I think Chargers fans think very highly of him. He's out of Florida State. Was good, played well in college. Now he's here. Reminds me of Jalen Ramsey, just similar route out of Florida State. Only two full seasons, not even 2 full seasons. He did not play at all last year, 5 games the year before, and he did get a full 16 the year before his rookie year where he was a Pro Bowler. So he's got the talent. He has that nickname, the Kelsey Stopper. So he's got talent. Can he stay healthy is, I guess, the only thing, or the main thing limiting him on this list. I think if he is healthy, undeniable, one of the best safeties in the league. Just a matter of can he keep it together health-wise and stay on the field and make plays.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious to see how his game will upgrade with Staley, and also if the Chargers possibly get a number 1 corner in the draft, maybe a J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain or whoever it may be, maybe a second-round guy as Asante Samuel Jr. I'm curious to see how good the secondary can be captained by Darwin James, especially with Casey Hayward leaving. Darwin James will more likely than not fill the captain position. But moving to number 3 for me, Keenan Allen. This is a guy that, honestly, I don't want to say carries the Chargers receiving core, but without them, they are pretty much nothing. You can say that by a lot of teams, but I think Keenan Allen is kind of an underrated guy. And I think if Mike Williams or a couple other of these guys on the team like Jalen Guyton or Tyron Johnson steps up, Keenan Allen would be that much better. Right now, any defense knows Keenan Allen. The offense rolls through him. He moves the chains more than anyone else. And I think if some of these other guys could step up and create more separation across the field, and Keenan Allen maybe isn't double teamed as much, or like I said, has more separation, we could see his game upgrade even more. But I think number 3 fits him perfectly, and I hope to see him get better with Mike Williams taking a step up as well.
Yeah, it seems like, Jay, you've copied my list down before the video. No. Number 3, I got Keenan Allen also. Reminds me a lot of Mike Evans with the Bucs. Very similar stats. They look the same, honestly, with Keenan Allen being bald and Mike Evans not. That's the only difference. Keenan Allen averages roughly 1,000 yards a season. He's had, well, probably a little less, but he's had 4,000-yard years, 4-time Pro Bowler. He had 8 touchdowns last year, so didn't have a spectacular year. But you mentioned if there's other guys in this receiving core, because right now it's really just him and Mike Williams making the biggest presence in the receiving core. Other guys like Jalen Guyton step up, takes the heat off Mike Evans, and he's going to be able to make that jump to maybe have a 1,400, 1,500-yard season. The potential's there. Keenan Allen, I do think, is super talented. Another guy like Mike Williams. Stats might not reflect that how good I think he is. I think he's a little better than his stats book shows, and I just think that he's a guy that, with a young quarterback in Justin Herbert, gives him a perfect place to throw the ball and just have faith in your guy to go up and catch it.
100%. I'm a big fan of Keenan Allen. Number 2 on my list, this might come as a surprise to Chargers fans that I'm halting Justin Herbert from holding the crown. I got him at number 2. Strictly not being number 1 is just because of the youth factor, not having the experience, he's still going to go through some rookie mistakes. He's going to have a brand new offensive line to learn from and trust, and he's going to have a brand new head coach, and I do think he's going to have some bumps along the road. Not to say he can't take this team to the playoffs, and his pure talent can't carry him there. I mean, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions as a rookie. No one thought he would do that, but still, being just a little too young and having a complete new system next year, I'm going to hold him back from being the number 1 guy on this team.
Yeah, for me, number 2, I'm going to go with Joey Bosa. I guess I could have maybe strayed a little bit away from purely ranking them based off of talent, but with Joey Bosa coming off of an injury that, I don't know, that holds him back a little bit for me. I think he was drafted 2016, so now he's, 5 years into his career. He's definitely not old. He's still a young guy. I enjoyed watching him at Ohio State. He was a great player, and he is undeniably arguably top 5 defensive end in the league, edge rusher in the league, but he's at somewhere near the top is my point. So he's very good. But when I'm looking at my number 1 is evidently going to be Justin Herbert. I just think the future is so bright for Justin Herbert. He showed so much promise last year that as far as pure value and talent really on this team, Justin Herbert's got to be number 1, which just leaves Joey Bosa in the 2 spot, which is no knock on him. I think he's great. He'll be healthy, hopefully this year, and make a huge difference on that defense, but I got Joey Bosa at 2.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, both guys, without them, that's a complete different defense, a complete different offense. I'm giving my number 1 to Joey Bosa. He's the highest paid defensive end in the NFL, $27 million a year. He's making more than Myles Garrett. If you say he's better than Myles Garrett or not, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But for him to at least be in the conversation shows how important he is to that team. And I seriously think you take him away, that defense falls 5 to 10 spots. Not that it was stellar by any means last year, but he is the captain and revolves everything around that defense. And just like Justin Herbert, everything revolves around him. But just due to the experience and already being paid what he is worth, I'm going with Joey Bosa at number 1.
Yeah, he definitely holds together that defensive front. For the Chargers, I hope he can stay healthy. Do you know what his injury was?
No, it kept just getting banged up. It wasn't
I guess
consistently hurt.
Okay.
It was just in and out. And
I got you. Yeah, hopefully he's able to keep it together because I like Nick Bosa, I like Joey Bosa, I like the both of them. So hopefully he has a healthy season. But again, I got Herbert at number 1 for obvious reasons. His future is just about as bright as anybody in the league. Jay, are the Chargers going to make the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I definitely see them getting a wild card spot. I like them to make the playoffs. I don't think they'll take down the Chiefs yet. A lot will determine how this draft goes. Could they pick up a left tackle that can help out Herbert, or they could pick out a corner that can help out Darwin James in the secondary? But either way, I think they have enough talent to make it, and the biggest question mark, draft or not, is going to be Brandon Staley. Can he take them there? I like the Sean McVay coaching tree, but still, it's a big variable. If he clicks, I like them in the playoffs. If he doesn't, you can't expect much from a coach that isn't good.
Yep, assuming Brandon Staley clicks, I think this is definitely a playoff potential team. I don't remember off the top of my head for sure, but we did a record video, had them winning roughly 11, 12 games. Yeah. So I think this Chargers team is definitely one that can be in the playoff picture. Now, that's asking for a lot out of a second-year quarterback, but he showed us the traits that we do think he can do it. So, Chargers fans, I guess I would go as far as to say expect to make the playoffs this year. Be optimistic about it and expect it to happen. It could.
And if they play a Bills round one, who's I don't want to say one-dimensional, they might fix
things.
I would. They could catch a Bills off guard, or if they play a Chiefs, that won't be fun. But a division rival at that point, I feel like it's anyone games, or even a Browns roster definitely outmatches the Chargers all around. But quarterback matchup, I like Herbert over Mayfield, so even they could get a playoff win, but of course they have to make it there first.
100%. So that's all for our video as far as we're ranking the top 5 talented players on the Chargers. I had Justin Herbert, Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, Darwin James, and Corey Linsley, and you had?
I had Bosa, Herbert, Allen, James, Lindsey.
Yeah, pretty much the same list, but we flipped around Herbert and Bosa, so a little bit of disagreement. But that's all for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. 2-Minute Warning.